group of students, so we can get started. Might as well start on time and others can kind of join. So welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Julie Drzezinski and I have Mary Donahue Quinlan with me. So I'll kind of introduce myself and just kind of kick off the session, and then I'll have Mary do the same. Just a couple like kind of housekeeping items. So obviously you all came in kind of muted. Mary and I will walk through the session. We have a fair amount of seniors on, which is awesome. So to make it easier, I set up, you'll hopefully see a message from me in the chat. And if you want to just use the chat as we're walking through the session today to like post any questions as we're talking, and Mary and I will keep an eye on that chat and we can kind of answer some questions along the way, and then definitely have some time at the end where we can kind of scroll through and make sure we hit any questions that folks have. So I guess to kick off, I would say, I think it's fabulous that you're all taking the time to be here to chat a little bit about kind of how you conduct a job search while the world seems to be on pause. Obviously we want to acknowledge this is probably not the end of your senior, spring semester that you kind of had envisioned, probably even back to like earlier in the fall. But with, COVID-19 and the pandemic that's going on, there's just a lot of uncertainty. And particularly for seniors, I think that it's kind of an uncertain time around kind of the job search and how to navigate all this with everything that's going on. I think the good news is, and Mary and I will talk a lot today about this, is that you don't have to pause, right? So there might be employers that are kind of pausing their job search or kind of halting recruiting for now, but there's still a lot that you can be doing to really kind of get yourself ready and market yourself and kind of be a really viable candidate. And there's also a lot of companies that haven't paused. There's definitely some companies that we've seen that are still recruiting, that are still hiring. So you want to take advantage of that. So we'll talk through today, some kind of tangible things that you can all be doing as seniors as you think about that job search in kind of this new environment that we're currently in. Because I think there's a lot that can still be done. Mary, did you want to add anything before we kind of introduce ourselves and share a little bit about our story?
No, just the one thing that Julie and I were talking about is, everybody's in the best year, in the best economy, in a normal health world situation, people are petrified about graduating and finding jobs. Oh, that's under the best of circumstances. And the only thing we want you to do is take a breath and say, you know what? You might not have a job by June 1 or July 1, but you're going to have one by Christmas. And you get to work a long time. So just take a chill pill and manage your expectations that, okay, this thing's going to set me back. Not a few years, a few months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. All right, so why don't we go ahead and kind of share a little bit about our background. So Mary, did you want to start and share with the group a little bit about you and kind of your background?
I do. And I thought long and hard today if I was going to be 100% honest, and I feel like since it's a Catholic school, I have to be transparent. I was an English major at Holy Cross. I was in the first class of women. And I think it says a lot about me that I have a fearlessness about me or that I'm crazy. But as I said earlier to Julie, I was 11-1 guys to girls, women when I started, and I don't think I paid for a beer in 4 years. I really don't. So that was a good thing. And I've been coaching Holy Cross grads since I graduated. And I started my company, Career Prep, 10 years ago as a side hustle. I was in sales and marketing. My last job was at Cosmopolitan magazine, and I have stories that would make you laugh, that would make you cry, yes, there are shirtless guys walking around the office, and when we would audition them to model at beaches, and there were free drinks that vodka companies would give us because they wanted us to write about them. And yes, it was all that, but it was still a lot of hard work. And I loved every minute of my career. And now I'm doing this career prep full time, and I'm working at a small college called LIM. It's a fashion college in New York, and teaching career management courses there. They're 1-credit courses. And I live at the Jersey Shore, so I'm the happiest girl in the world. I moved here 2 years ago.
Perfect. So I know a lot of you. I'm Julie Drzezinski. I'm the Associate Director in the Center for Career Development. I'm also a Holy Cross alum. So I'm a 99 grad. I was a psych major, and I was at Holy Cross. And I tell students this story all the time, particularly seniors. I vividly remember like my senior year, kind of being at a point where I kind of all along my path and what I thought I was going to do was going to go into social work and kind of, work in some kind of human services kind of setting. And fall of senior year, after doing a couple internships, I was like, you know what, that's not exactly what I want to do. So I kind of pivoted a little bit, kind of explored some different things, and I ended up working at Fidelity Investments, which is literally the last place on earth I kind of pictured myself. But the role was a very kind of customer facing role, and I was working with customers and really chatting with them about their retirement, and they had a fabulous training program, and it really kind of tapped into some of the skills and my interests as a psych major. So I spent 11 years at Fidelity, and during that time, really spent majority of the time, about 10 of those years, doing more HR, human resources, kind of training and development, organizational development work. And again, as a senior, I never could have said, like, that's exactly what I'm going to do. You kind of have to be open to trying some different things and see where it's going to lead you. After doing that for over 10 years, I then kind of pivoted, decided I wanted to shift gears kind of out of the corporate setting and really wanted to be in higher ed. So then I moved into kind of the higher ed space, spent a little time at WPI, and then have been here in career development for 7 years. So, I think I'm excited to talk to you today about just some kind of things you can be doing as you move forward and really kind of take advantage of this time to connect with people and kind of put yourself out there in the market. So to talk through, I think my slides to go here. Come on, we're not moving. There we go. Whoop, too fast. To talk through like what we're focusing on today. So here's just some of our learning outcomes and what Mary and I are hoping to kind of cover in the workshop. So first of all, identifying and spending a little bit of time talking about what does it really mean to be market ready, particularly during this kind of crisis and environment we're in now. So how can you position yourself and really be kind of market ready and be a kind of a viable candidate that's ready to just step into that role when it becomes available. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of setting some goals, creating some action plans, like what are some tangible things that you can all be doing now to continue to kind of move forward. And then really, I think now is such a critical time to really understand and leverage the alumni community. I think I've been so touched by like the outpouring of alumni, people like Mary that have reached out and said, how can I help? I think alumni kind of bleed purple. And I think during a time like this, where it's just this unsettling time, they're really thinking a lot about the seniors and want to help. So you should all leverage that and take advantage of it. So we'll talk a little bit about how you do that, some different resources to use, and how you effectively do some of that outreach. So to start, we wanted to spend a little bit of time first talking about this idea of being market ready. So, in this kind of focus of the presentation, it's really about what are some things you can do now to ensure that you're ready and poised to kind of jump on that opportunity. So, and that can include like, how are you presenting yourself on paper? It can include, how you present yourself online, and then how you present yourself maybe in a virtual kind of discussion in an interview setting. Mary, did you want to share a little bit about your perspective on these?
Sure. So, so basically the concept that Julie said before, we don't want you to pause. So when you graduate, maybe take a little time off, not much, and then you're going to be so busy getting ready because this is a very busy. It's a lot of work to find a job under the best of circumstances. So I'm sure you all have resumes. You've seen sample cover letters. You should have those ready to go. You'll have to plug in different information depending on what it is and follow-up letters. No typos. I worked at 3 places where if a typo was anywhere, you were out. It went right in the garbage. I'm not kidding. So have somebody check it, have somebody look. The LinkedIn profile, one of the things that we have this, get a picture where you look professional, and you don't have to have a jacket and tie on, gentlemen and women. I have on a black dress and actually wear a plum sweater today for Holy Cross. It's not purple. You could just have on a white blouse and you just behind a plain wall. It doesn't matter. But the women who are at the weddings, because it's just a gorgeous picture of them, and then they have these dresses that there's cleavage and everything. No, that's a Tinder picture. And we laugh about the men because they all have half of them have tuxedos on because they also have the wedding picture. So stop it. Just put on a nice V-neck sweater and a thing and get a picture and smile. I want to know that I want to work with you. I'm going to be with you 8 hours a day. I want to know that you're not cranky. The other thing is there's a little thing to check right under 2 things. Under your name, it should say, senior or graduating May. Finance major graduating in May, seeking a position in investment banking. You should have those words there because when people do bots and do searching for keywords, whatever the job you're looking for, you want those words there. And then right underneath that, it says, are you open to people contacting you? And you want to make sure that says yes. But this is very important. If you say yes, you will get recruiters contacting you. And here's what I want to say about recruiters. They get paid by the job, the employer, and they do not care if you're happy. So if you want finance, the next thing you know, they're saying, well, come work at this recruiting firm. You're going to love it. And come work at this tech firm. You're like, no, I want finance. Just don't go on the interview, say it's not a fit. That's all I have to say. Okay. Clean up social media, no keg stands. You know the drill, right? My son's 24 and he's still kind of in the standing on the bar doing shots of tequila mode. He hasn't outgrown it yet. So he posted something and I said, hey, you're going to be looking for a job. He wants to change jobs soon. He said, no, his account's private. So you know how to handle that. And then the real thing that you need to think about is video interviews. So right now I can only see 4 of you and I hope you can all hear me, and everybody has a great background. I'm teaching online classes and the stuff I'm seeing with the bedrooms, and the one girl has this hot pink bedroom and there are animals everywhere. It looks like she's 5, but she's a senior in college. Obviously not in your bedroom. And I can tell you, I had 2 spots at Cosmopolitan every summer for Cosmo senior or Cosmo whatever students for internships. And I would interview them by phone. And half the time there was something awful going on in the background. Usually a mountain of clean laundry this big with underwear falling out everywhere. You don't want that. And there's going to be a lot more because you think the world has stopped. A lot of people are working like crazy, including Julie. And they're just working from home. So they're going to be doing video, a lot more video. Okay. And so you're all dressed nicely. You all look good. You can have jeans on the bottom, who cares? But get ready for that video interview. The one other thought that I want to share, if you have a phone call, there's a lot of phone call interviews too, you're supposed to dress too. Why? You can't answer me because you're muted, so I'll answer. Because it's putting your game face on. It's getting you ready to go in. If you have on fuzzy slippers and pajamas, you're just not going to be as sharp and focused and ready to go. Again, you could still have jeans on, but put on a nice shirt or put on some makeup or do what you would do, and then it gets you in the game. Cool? Okay.
So just a couple things to add to what Mary said. With interview preparation, and she's absolutely right, I think video interviewing is so important. Even before this entire pandemic, we saw so many employers really shifting to video-based interviewing, and a lot of them were using that as like a first round. So they might ask you to do a video-based interview as a first round kind of screen. And sometimes it was like kind of the asynchronous where there wasn't an actual person on the other end, which I think is almost harder, I would say is harder than an actual like video interview where we're talking to someone or a phone screen. So we have a great resource called Interview Stream that you all can use. So if you go into Handshake and go under resources, which is you can link to from the career development page in Handshake, you'll see Interview Stream listed there on our resources page. You can all get into that, and it's at any time you can go in there and you can pick, like there's interview sets kind of set up for you to use. You can create your own through like this question database, but you can basically practice video-based interviewing. And so it's a great resource. Just if you haven't done a lot of interviews, you want to see like, what do I sound like? What do I say? How do I make good eye contact? Just practice that way. You're going to be able to do some self-evaluation and like watch yourself back on a video. So that's a great tool to use. The other thing I would reiterate, as Mary said, is, you know, as you're working on materials, as you're working on your LinkedIn profile, or if you're, you know, really ensuring like your social media presence is okay, just remember that the Center for Career Development can kind of support through all of that. So even though you guys can't like drop into our office for drop-ins, you can do everything virtually. So if you want, you know, myself or one of the other counselors to look at like your LinkedIn profile, set up you can set up an appointment right through Handshake, a virtual appointment, and we can look at that together. If you're working on materials, we do virtual drop-ins every day. So you can grab a virtual drop-in and we can, and I've done it with a lot of students, we can, share a screen or get in Google Docs and I can like review your materials and give you feedback. So just know that as you're moving forward now, and even after you graduate, we support grads like up to 5 years out. You guys, it's not like we're going anywhere. So please use us as you move forward.
Great.
All right. So then let's talk about, you've kind of gotten ready, right? You're market ready. You've kind of got your materials. You've got yourself all set up online. Then it's how do you kind of get set and where do you go from here? So at this point, I think what Mary and I wanted to talk a little bit about is kind of the next stage, which is really thinking about how do you kind of identify and create goals and really research companies, research industries, really kind of be ready to jump on that position, when it presents itself. And then some other things you can be doing around just educating yourself and kind of continuing to learn and making yourself a very marketable candidate. So we'll talk a little bit about some different online learning and certifications you can tap into to really kind of focus on this. And then, the last piece before I let Mary jump in and then I can kind of get into Handshake after Mary talks a little bit is the routine piece, right? I think this whole, as Mary said, like everyone's kind of in this together where people are learning from home, working from home, schooling from home. So it's very different than when you're in school and you're with your roommates and you're kind of working on things together. So creating routine and creating structure, I think is really important. I think that's important even when, if this wasn't happening, I tell seniors all the time, act as if your job search is like a 5th class, right? And like schedule time in your weekly schedule where you're going to be doing job search things, whether that's reaching out to people on LinkedIn or getting into the HC network and connecting with alumni or researching industries or looking for entry-level roles. And maybe you're doing that, every Wednesday from 2 to 4 or whatever it might be. So I think that routine piece is really important. Mary, did you want to add to that?
On the routine or all of it?
Or any of it, and then I can go into Handshake and show them a couple tips.
Yeah, so let me just go. Some people don't even know what industry, they don't know where to. I was an English major, philosophy majors, classics majors, don't have a clue. So a place I like to do to research industries is vault.com, and they have some great resources. I'm sure that you talked about it before, Julie, but it's a great place. Another place where you can research industries or companies is Glassdoor, but I have a big red flag on that. Did you ever read at a restaurant, you have the best time and you never, ever, ever go to TripAdvisor or go to OpenTable and write a good review. But if a waiter, God forbid, spills salad dressing on you, you are not even in the house and you've got that negative review posted. So Glassdoor has a lot of disgruntled employees. So don't assume that everything's really, that's how the company is as a place to work. However, they do have a ton of jobs. I went on there just for fun today and put in marketing coordinator in New York City, and they had 2,198, let's say make it 2,200 jobs in that category. So it's a good place to look. I love Indeed for research purposes only. I want to be very clear on this. Indeed is an aggregator of jobs. So they have millions and millions and millions of people look at them. You go there and you say, oh, what's this job description? What's this job description, to see which one fits you and your interests and your skill sets. Oh, I didn't know that that's what an assistant planner does. I didn't know that's what a project manager in insurance does. I didn't know that that's what a graphic designer in a finance company does. So there are all kinds of things that you could see if it's a fit. And that's research. And then I highly advise you to not apply on there. And it will tell you, Indeed is great, how many people have applied. If 2,000 people have applied to that job, do not waste your time. I urge you to go to ralphlauren.com, to fidelity.com, to google.com, or twitter.com, wherever you want to work, and apply directly there because you have a better chance of being seen. Some other sites I like for looking at a job are idealist.com, which is not-for-profit work, and I know Holy Cross always has a lot of, well, everybody's men and women for others, but there's a lot of not-for-profit interest. There's something called findspark.com, and they are very much into promoting diversity and inclusion in the workplace. So they have a very diverse audience, and they help to find jobs that are right for them. And then just fairly recently, wayup.com used to just be for internships, and now they have a lot of entry-level positions. So you would do that now, you wouldn't go there in 5 years. Back to the routine, I would say, for my money right now, you have 3 weeks. Just do your schoolwork and don't knock yourself out, and then you can do this full time, so you don't stress yourself out. But how many hours per day are you going to work, and calendar it? So I'm going to work from 12 to noon every day, 12 to 3 every day. I'm going to get up, go for a run, and then work. I'm going to do whatever it is. I don't care if it's 3 to 7. Just do not send emails, especially to me, an alum, at 2 in the morning. You know why? It creeps me out. Like, what are you doing thinking about me at 2 in the morning? I'm asleep. You should be asleep. Or just watch a video game or movie and don't let me know that you're up that late doing your work like it's the last thing in the world. So yeah, so stick to it and calendar it and stick to it. Make it a commitment, as if you had a personal trainer.
Correct. So to show you a couple of resources even that Mary mentioned too. So when you're in Handshake, if we just go in here real quick, let me just.
So excited to see Handshake.
Yeah, there you go. So couple tips I would provide all of you in Handshake. One of the things that you can do that I think a lot of students don't realize is you can go on this employers tab. There's lots of employers that use Handshake. Handshake is kind of the premier career services platform that many employers are using. So many employers that are really, and which is why one of the main reasons we switched to Handshake this year, because I think it just opens up a lot more opportunity to Holy Cross students than Crusader Connections, which was our old system, did. So, many employers are on Handshake actively looking for entry-level hires, right? It's meant to connect employers to college talent. So on the employers tab, you can follow employers. So if there's certain employers that you're really excited about, like if Fidelity, let's use that as the example. If Fidelity Investments is the one that I really am excited, I want to kind of, follow that employer. If I click this follow button, what it's going to do is anytime, like if they post a new role, you're going to see that on like your homepage in Handshake. So Handshake, the algorithm that runs it is really pretty intuitive. So if you're following employers, it'll push information about those employers. If they, added some new information, if they posted a job. So that's a really nice way to just kind of stay on top of employers that interest you. And then obviously on the jobs tab, so if we switch over to there, that's where you can search for, full-time roles. So a couple of tips here that I would provide, like obviously I'm going to click full-time. I think because we're so used to like searching, online, I think students often go right in and just start typing keywords. You can do that. I would recommend though using these filters. If you click on the filters, you can then like more broadly see what's out there, and you can search by industry. So if I know, I really want to go into, maybe marketing or media, I might type in like advertising, PR, marketing, and choose that one. And then I might search for like journalism, media, and publishing. And I know these off the top of my head, but if you guys open up this, it'll, sorry, making you dizzy. You can scroll through all the different ones in here, right? So when I just typed in, those different ones, let me move. Sorry, I've got all of you down below now. Hold on. It'll basically show me, the number of roles. So it's showing me that there's 32 jobs. And so then if I click on that, now I can see all these jobs that have come up in those different industries. And then you can certainly plug in, location if there's certain place you want to be. But I think in this environment, I would encourage you all maybe leave some of that blank, because you're going to see a lot of these, more and more, I think, employers are thinking about virtual or remote hires. So, you can plug that in. But as I said, we've still seen employers posting jobs. So I think that if you're active in Handshake and really using some of these filters and narrowing down what you're looking for, you're still going to see a fair amount in there that I would encourage you all to kind of explore. And then to kind of point out what Mary was mentioning, if you go to the resources page on here, so under Career Center, It'll bring you to a page where you can look at all the different resources. This is where you can link to a lot of different things that, that Mary mentioned. So there is Vault. I don't want to make you guys dizzy, but down below we have a link to Vault. We have a link to that interview stream I mentioned where you can do video-based interviewing. So there's a link to Glassdoor. So you can link right from here into some of these different resources.
Wow.
The other new one that we just added, let me just scroll back up, is this telework resource guide. So we also curated all different kind of job boards that typically have focused on like virtual, remote kind of work from home positions. So these would be other resources, job boards to, given the climate we're in, to also check out too, because you might find some more kind of virtual positions that maybe eventually wouldn't be virtual, but right now more and more companies are kind of going that way. So that's a great one to look at. And then the last resource I would highlight for you here for now is HC Connect. So the other thing that you can link into, if you go into HC Connect, this is going to bring you to our website where you can look at each of the career community pages. So if you go under career development, and if we use like Arts Comm Media as an example, which is my career community, you're going to see there's a page here that links you to job boards and professional associations that are specific to that industry. So I would also encourage you to look at that. So, look in Handshake for maybe advertising, PR, journalism, but then go here and look at journalism jobs or Media Bistro or Talent Zoo, or get on like the PR Council. And a lot of times they have job boards. So I think Handshake's a great entry point, and I would want you actively searching in there. But then to Mary's point, use that resources page and really link out to Vault, link out to some of these industry specific job boards. Get an Indeed, go directly to a company's website. So it's really about casting that wide net. All right. And then the other thing I wanted to mention that we did just kind of highlight on this slide is I also think it's a great time to also think about, is there anything else that you want to or should be doing to kind of just continue to educate yourself, right? That's more specific to the industry you might be in. So, knowing that you might have to shift your timeline a little bit, and even though seniors always want like that job at graduation and the climate we're in now, that might really mean more that there's a job towards the end of the summer or into the fall. So how do you still use your summer, not only to kind of look for opportunities and network and talk to people, but do you also use it to kind of, do some online courses or certifications? So LinkedIn Learning is a great resource. I know right now you can join for like at least 1 month free, and you can tap into a lot of different online kind of videos and tools on there. If like digital marketing as an example is something you were looking at, you could go to like HubSpot Academy, and they have all these digital marketing and inbound marketing courses. You can get like an online certification. So is there some kind of more like technical program or something that you've always wanted to learn more about? That's another great way to make yourself marketable. Use your time. Yeah, Mary.
I'm a big fan of this LinkedIn Learning too. It used to be called lynda.com. The first month is free and it is unlimited. You can take as many courses as you want. Now, let me give you an example. I was looking to take, it's embarrassing, but it's okay. I had an assistant my whole life, so I need to learn more about Microsoft Word because I'm now doing all my own typing. I mean, listen to me, New York City bitch. So I went just online, and it was like $800. And then I went to this LinkedIn, and it's $30 a month, the second month. Mm-hmm. So if you were to use it for 2 months, it would cost you $30, and you could take so many courses. If you're interested, if you think you want to be in some kind of business, you could take data analytics or Google Analytics, just so you know how to read them. And then you get certificates, and you can put them on your resume, and it's free. And if you don't know Excel and you think you're going to need that, go take Excel, because you have the time now. They have 15,000 courses. Do you believe it? Don't tell your parents they're free. They're going to die now that they're paying tuition. They cut their lungs out to send you the Holy Cross, and now you're going to say, oh, I have all these free courses. So don't tell them. Yeah, unlimited. So just, be fun.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Okay, so then the next part is all about kind of networking. So Mary, before I jump in and like kind of demo and give them some tips about using HC Network and LinkedIn, I'd love to hear your perspective on why networking is important.
The way to find a job, this is a slide in my presentation. Thank God you didn't see my I have to sit through my PowerPoint today. The way to find a job is not by sending out resumes, it's by getting interviews. The way to find a job is not by sending out resumes, it's by getting interviews. And the world has changed. So here's the story. My daughter graduated Providence College 10 years ago. She wouldn't go to Holy Cross because her mother went there. It's a kind of a little bitch. So, sorry. So I ran into a Holy Cross grad who said, oh, Mary, I got this job and you were so helpful to you, Mary, you helped me. And, we all help each other out. Great. She said, I'm at GE now, I'm in HR. And I said, oh my gosh, my daughter just applied to the GE management training program. She really didn't care about it, but I thought it was a great opportunity for her. And she was lost, so fine. She applied. The woman said, I'll get her out of the queue. I'll get her an interview. She did. My daughter did okay, except when she wrote the follow-up note, she called the guy Tom instead of Ted, so she was out. A little life story lesson here for her. And I said, just out of curiosity, guys, this is 10 years ago. How many people were in the queue for the job? The training program hires 40 people a year. How many were in the queue? Julie, you're gonna have to guess. You're the only one unmuted.
100.
10,000. Do you think anybody reads 10,000 resumes?
No.
Cameron, give me a nod. Yes or no? No way. HR people are inherently not highly motivated. If they can read 10 and give away 3, they're done. If you're number 11, you're out. You don't even get seen. So now that everything's this electronic queue, holy moly. Did I just say that? Holy moly. How do you get seen? Here's how you get seen. You go to Indeed, you see the job you like, fine. You go to the company, ralphlauren.com, you apply. Great. Then you go to LinkedIn and you see if any Holy Cross alums are at Ralph Lauren. And you write to them and say, hey, we haven't met, but I'm a Crusader. Are we allowed to say Crusaders?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. And can we have a talk, whatever. So then that person can help you. If you can have someone in a company say, can you see this person? You have a 5 to 10 times better statistically chance of getting the job than if you just go through online. Because no one's going to read your resume. But one of the good things about LinkedIn, there are several, is LinkedIn will tell you again how many people have applied to a job. And if you see it's 30, go for it. And if you check LinkedIn often and get notices, you'll sometimes do it when there's only 7 that have applied. Mm-hmm. The other thing about networking is you're going to have this time now, and you think people aren't working, but they are, is you can just see, oh, you want an industry? Oh, you always wanted to work at the New York Times, and you saw I just went to the New York Times. You find me, and you say, can you set up a 15-minute networking conversation with me? And give me I would love your insights into how to get into the business. Holy Cross alums are here to help in a way that almost no other school is. Certainly not one I know. If you think Penn State, where do you even start at Penn State? It's a great school, don't get me wrong. But they don't have, when you go to Holy Cross, you join a community, period. And you're stuck with us for life. If I walk on the boardwalk down here, remember Jersey Shore girl, and I have on my Holy Cross hat, a guy will say, oh my God, my grandson goes there. Oh my God, my nephew goes there. It's unbelievable. They don't even go there. And they're talking to me. Yeah. So these people will help you out. Not everyone will get back to you just because they're busy or they're swamped, but you will find, honest to goodness, a 30 to 50% response rate from your alums. And that is high, right, Julie?
Definitely, yeah, it's amazing.
So if you reach out to 10 people, 3 people are gonna get back to you, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. And you set up and you ask them 3 questions. Here's what I'm looking for, here's why I'm qualified. How do you suggest I get into this business? You know the business. Is there an organization I should be checking out for job listings? Is there, whatever event I could go to? Well, not now, sorry. But it's the most important thing you have to do. You have to get your face and name in front of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, to Mary's point, you know, the year after year, the statistic is always like it's 75 to 80% of jobs are kind of filled through networking, through word of mouth, through people, you know. So when a company is going to open a role, they're first going to talk to their employee often and say, oh, do we know anyone? So if you can kind of become that known entity, that's what networking is all about. If you create a network of people that think of you when something opens up in July, then you've set yourself up to be really successful.
Suppose you call me and we have this 15-minute conversation and my company has nothing right now. And
Right.
the next week I have lunch with my best friend and she says, oh my gosh, my assistant just quit. I'm dying for an entry-level person. Do you know anybody? Bingo.
Right.
You reached out to me. You're getting the word out there.
Mhm.
There was a great shampoo commercial a long time ago. It said, then she told two friends, then she told two friends, and it's that ripple effect, how you get your word out there. It's called social media, it's actually called WOM, word of mouth,
Mhm.
was the original social media.
That's right.
Okay.
So, so two resources obviously that we want to highlight today that we've talked a little bit about, LinkedIn and then HC Network. So HC Network, if we kind of go into that first, just to show you what this looks like, you can link right into HC Network from that same resources page that I showed you in Handshake. I know many of you, I think, have been in here, but just to kind of highlight, the HC Network is basically a database of alumni that have like raised their hand and said, oh, I'm happy to talk to students and advise them about my career. And then they take the time to fill out a profile and put themselves in this database, right? So there's over, 1,000 alumni in here that you should definitely be tapping into. And those are alums that I would start with because they're already kind of saying, hey, come talk to me. I'm happy to talk to you. When you're in and you click on explore the community, you can use those same industry buckets that you see in Handshake. So if you really were, someone who's really interested in, government, and you're also interested in maybe international affairs, and you're also thinking, legal, let's just pick a few. So if I choose those, and then I search that way, when I clicked on them, is it editing? Why is it not doing it? Hold on, guys. Sorry. Why is it not doing it? Weird. Okay. Helpful. The one time it doesn't work for me is when I've got you all staring at me. 1 second. It's supposed to edit. All right, well, we're going to pretend it's doing it. Normally, if you're clicking on these, it's going to edit these users. But let me just show you. When you do, if you're looking at someone, like let's say, you're looking down here, let's say Catherine. So let's pretend I was searching by marketing. Catherine would come up. And if you look at Catherine as an alum, you're going to be able to view her profile. So when we look at this, it's, kind of a similar profile that you might see on LinkedIn, where she's kind of describing her experience, and you can see a little bit about what she did at Holy Cross. You can actually go and link right to her LinkedIn page. So if Catherine's someone you wanted to talk to, if you click Let's Connect, it's a very kind of foolproof system to walk you through reaching out to Catherine to kind of request that informational meeting. So on here, you can like pick a template and then you can edit it. So say I pick her expiration, you might edit this a little bit, but it's going to give you like a starting point to kind of say, I'm really interested in marketing. I see this is the area that you've been working in. I'd love to, hear your perspective about what it's like to work in that industry. The other great thing is when you go down below, you could just send that email, or I would recommend actually click on request a meeting, because then it'll bring this page up where you can also plug in like days and times that you're free for a phone call or a video call. And you might pick like 2 or 3, days and times that you're available, and you add it in and you select the time, and then it's going to, let's say it was noon on that day, I add it, and then I can add that in, and it's going to put that over in like my attachment. So when I send that to Catherine, she's going to get the email, and it's also going to say like, Julie would like to chat with you during these times. And then she can pick one that works, and then you've got like a 30-minute video informational call set up. Or she can suggest a different time and you'll get a message back from the system. So yeah, Mary.
I would highly recommend that you click 15 minutes. Yep. If they want to go longer, fine. But if they sit and say, oh, I just don't have a half hour, everybody has 15 minutes.
Yep.
And then say, oh, it's 15 minutes. Do you have to go? They go, no, it's okay. Caroline, stay on the line. I got you. but if the half hour is like, oh, I don't have time. So I would do the 15-minute option. Can
Yep,
you
that's
search these people by company?
yes, yeah. So Wax, you can, so this would definitely be a network I would say you would want to use because you can search, you can plug in like a company name to see is there any alums at a company that interest me. You can search by location, you can search by major, search by industry. You can click on all these different filters and see like, oh, I'm an athlete. I want to see what other athletes are in here. So seniors, if you haven't been in here yet, get in here. Now is a fabulous time to get in here, play around, find some alums that look interesting and reach out and just try to schedule those 15-minute calls. Okay. The other resource obviously is LinkedIn. So when you're on LinkedIn, just to give you a quick tip, because I could spend, a whole session on LinkedIn.
All session.
Yeah. But just to give you a tip, this is a great way that I like to search for alumni. So if you type in College of the Holy Cross and you go to the Holy Cross LinkedIn page, you can go down here and click on alumni, and then you can filter all the alums. So it's showing me there's 30,688 alums on LinkedIn. And then I can filter by keywords. So again, to Mary's point, if you're like, wow, I saw this great role at L'Oreal, I'm going to apply there. I'm going to search, L'Oreal, and then it's going to show me, is there any Holy Cross alums there? So you can plug in a company, an industry, a role that really you're looking for. You can then filter by, where they're living, which is often where they're working, where they work. And then if you go over to next, they actually have like industries, set in there. So if you're like, I really just want to see all alumni that are working in sales. When I click on that, now I'm looking at, 2,100, and it's showing me like, here's all the companies they're at. And then they're all down. Sorry to make you dizzy. They're all down at the bottom. So if I wanted to like talk to some of them, like if I wanted to talk to Benjamin, I click on him and then I can view his background and what he's doing. And then I would send him a connection request and I would personalize the message. So I think the really important point that I want to make with LinkedIn is you find when you want to talk to, this is where you've got to use that Holy Cross connection, right? So in the message, you've got to say, dear Benjamin, my name's Julie. I'm currently senior at Holy Cross.
Or I'm a fellow Crusader. Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to chat with you. I'd love to connect. You're in a role that really excites me. You're in an industry I would love to learn more about. I hope you're doing okay during this time. I'm sending that off.
Okay, and to extend networking. So now you're connected with Benjamin, you talk, fine. He gives you some good advice. You don't get a job with him. Now you see Benjamin leaves
Mimecast, yeah.
And he goes to Pinterest. And you want to work at Pinterest your whole life. And you've already said thank you to him. You see he's gone to Pinterest. Every time someone in your network moves, you tell them, and you get an opportunity to say, congratulations, how's it going there?
Yeah, right.
So you have these people in your network for the rest of your career. But can you scroll down a little?
Yeah.
When I tell you that it shows you the person's job title, their company, their picture, their major, it's a joke. It literally is like stalking.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Emily Cope.
Right.
Oh, I think she was my intern.
Oh, there you go.
And you see their picture. And in some cases, you might want to go to someone senior to help you get in the company, or you might want to go to someone junior to say, how did you get in this business? Or you know what I mean? You can see their class. And there are hundreds. This is what's going to keep you so busy, is to go through this. You don't want to link in with everybody because you might not want anything to do with finance. So if someone's in PR at Mellon Wealth Management, no, you don't want them. If they're in PR at TJ Maxx, you do.
Yep. So
you scroll through this. Oh, wait, scroll down one more. Yeah, Brendan Healy. He's such a great guy.
Yes.
I worked with him and I did the summer program with him. You know that June business program?
Oh, yeah.
He's always kept in touch with me, and he's out 4 years.
Yep.
He just got promoted. I wrote to him and I said, oh my God, you're crushing it. And he said, I learned from one of the best. Like, it's just, you can't believe how tight the network can be.
Definitely. Perfect. So the other thing I will mention just briefly too about networking and reaching out, because I've gotten this question a lot from students lately, given what's going on with the pandemic we're experiencing, is, well, I think sometimes seniors are feeling, and even underclassmen, like, I want to reach out and network, but it feels weird. Like there's like all this unsettling thing going on and people are dealing with their own things with home and work and family. So I would say, don't let that stop you. I think when you do the reach out, just like acknowledge it and be empathetic. I think in that networking message to kind of say, I know there's a lot going on right now, kind of in the world, in our country. I'm sure you've got a lot that you're kind of trying to manage. So I acknowledge that you're busy, but I would love to, pick your brain. As Mary said, if you have 10, 15 minutes over the next few weeks, let me know what works for you. So I think if you just put it out there and kind of acknowledge it, a lot want to help, and they've been reaching out to say, how can I help? So reach out to them, because it's not a time when I think you need to not reach out because of what's going on. I actually think it's the opposite.
And remember, it's business. You're not bothering them. This is a business conversation you're having with them. So if they say, yes, let's meet, and then you write to them and say, how's Tuesday the 15th? And they say, oh, you didn't write back, just write back to them again in 3 days, because it's business. People are expecting to have communication. Yeah. And you have value too. You're going to be in their network. People, as they go on up the chain, they want younger people in their network too, because then they might want to hire you in 2 years. Or tomorrow.
Awesome. All right. So as next steps, and I want to make sure we have time to take some questions. So as we wrap up, I think what Mary and I really want to leave with you with, and Mary, jump in here. But it's all about kind of staying active and creating an action plan and not pausing. I think this is the time where, I know you guys are wrapping up the semester, so, get through that, work through your classes. But then I think it's really, getting into Handshake, following employers, getting into Vault, doing some research on companies and industries that interest you, so you can stay on top of like what's happening and what are the trends out there and what jobs are opening and what companies are still hiring. I had forwarded, and I will send this to everyone on this afterwards, but Candor has a website. It's a great website where they're tracking companies that are like their status right now, whether they're still hiring or whether there's a hiring freeze. And there's a long list of companies, and people are adding to the list as they kind of want to add what's going on with their own company. So that's a great tool just to see like who's still in the green, who's still hiring. I also just got a great article today from the Muse with like 70 different companies that are hiring. So those are a couple things that I will forward on to everyone that was on this call afterwards. But I think the message is there are still companies that are recruiting, so you've got to be ready to kind of capitalize on that. So conducting those informational interviews, maintaining connections with friends, family members, people in industries or companies that interest you, so that you're on folks' radar and they're going to think of you when things do open up. And then obviously making sure that on paper, online, you're really presenting yourself as a kind of a viable candidate.
And I would say on that, I thought if you contacted 5 people a day, that's 100 in a month. 5 is so doable, because you're going to stop, you're going to research, you're going to look their company. You might say, gee, this sounds like a great job. I never heard of this company, Momentum. What is it? And so it's going to take 5 people a day, and really stick to that, because people are still hiring and don't think they aren't. That's why I don't want you just sitting around doing video games. There's so much going on out there, and you're going to be ahead of all the people who are just going to kick their hands back and say, oh my gosh, I'm just going to get high and watch Caddyshack over and over and over again. Or Animal House. Do you guys even know what those movies are? Okay, good. Okay. Can I say 2 more things and then I'm done?
Of course. Yes, please.
I want you to think long and hard. This is a very important message. In 2009, the world crashed in a different way in 2008 in the fall. The class of 2009, many of them, it goes on record, just took that job because they were petrified. So they ended up in HR when they wanted to be in finance. They ended up in a completely off stream, and they have never gotten back. It's not like, oh, I'll do it in 2 years, because then they just didn't. So don't lose your dream. That crappy job that is irrelevant to you, but it's just a job, but there will always be one of those there, I promise you. If you get desperate and you need money, I'd rather have you waitress. If we can ever go to a restaurant, we will. That'll all come back. I'd rather have you do proofreading. You can do proofreading online. All Holy Cross people can proofread. And then stick with your dream. Don't just take a crap job. And the second thing I want to say, and you're not going to believe me today, you might not believe me till you're 30 or 40. You won't remember my name, but you'll say, who is that girl that talked a lot? This thing has been foisted upon you, and it is going to make you stronger and smarter. You have already learned, did classes just stop and you didn't get your degree? No, there's always a plan B, and life goes on. On my first upheaval, I was in senior management. It was 9/11, and we didn't know what to do. We sat in a room for a week saying, oh my God, with our hands in our heads. You guys are going to be in that room saying, okay, we're going. We got through it in COVID. We can get through this too. It's going to take a while because right now you are not forgiving COVID, nor should you. You should be mad at it. But it's not a person, and this is not your fault. But it is going to make you stronger, and you are going to be better all the way around in your life because of it. Better than we were.
Okay, what a great segue into our last slide. That was great, Mary. So you guys got this. So I know we have a few minutes left. So if students have questions, please feel free to put a question in the chat. I answered one of them as we were going. I see Kelly asked a question about how much value do companies put on online certifications in the recruitment process? Mary, feel free to jump in, but my perspective is it definitely depends on the industry. I think it depends on the industry and the kind of online certification. I think if you think about, like if you're looking for more of a digital marketing or an inbound marketing role, like the online HubSpot, I've heard from lots of alums that are in marketing that online certification you can get through HubSpot is very valuable, and recruiters like to see that. But there could be other ones depending on the industry that aren't as valuable. So if you have specific questions, definitely reach out to me and we can.
I mean, it does depend on the industry,
Yeah.
But you know what it shows right now? That you've got hustle.
Right.
That instead of sitting around drinking beer and being depressed in the man cave, I'm basically referring to my son this whole time. I'm only kidding.
We can send him the recording.
He's learning how to cook, guys. There's a beautiful thing coming out of this. He was furloughed, so they're taking him back the second they start shooting again. But it shows you've got hustle, that you weren't sitting around. I mean, even if you took an online wine course just to learn about brand, and then put that, you have an interest in wines, it shows that you've got hustle, and you're someone that I would want on my team because you're not sitting there collecting dust.
Definitely.
Nor are you giving up.
Right. So
more questions.
Julia asked, a lot of companies say they want at least 1 year of professional experience for entry-level jobs. Do internships count as part of this professional experience?
Hi, Julia Doyle from LinkedIn. I can't see you, but you need to spin your internship that you have professional. You've had administrative experience. You know the business. I don't know what industry you're looking in, Julia, and if you want to catch me offline. But I've never heard that before.
Yeah. I would say absolutely. I mean, I think that I always tell seniors, if you're looking for jobs, a lot of entry-level jobs will say, we're looking for at least 1 year of experience or 1 to 3 years of experience. Well, if you've had an internship and you've done other like either leadership roles or really substantive roles on campus, like you've got transferable skills. So I would say definitely go for it. And like Mary said, really spin that and talk it up and go in with that confidence that yes, you do have that professional experience. So Annie's asking, is there a difference between an informal interview and networking? So yeah, you want to go ahead, Mary? Go ahead.
There's an informational interview, which is just to say, hey, I want to meet you, you want to meet me. But an interview, I would meet you just to say, oh, in case something comes up, I want to meet you. Networking, right now, you are networking to meet people and because they're alums, you want their opinion and their advice. You're asking for their counsel and their advice. And when you use words like that, people are happy to help. Don't say I need your help, it sounds frantic. I'm looking for your counsel. I love the word insights, and I love the word advice.
Yep.
And so one is networking just to get to know them, and then you're on their radar. And the other one, informal, is, they're thinking about you, or they know something might be coming up and they're not telling you, right? It's an informal interview is more promising, right, Julie?
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I think if it's like an employer, And because some employers use interesting language. So if it's an employer and they're like, oh, we just want to do an informal interview or um, an initial conversation, I would treat all of those as interviews and really be ready. I think if you're reaching out and you're connecting with like an alum and you're trying to set up like an informational interview, that to me is more part of that networking process where you're having that conversation, you're still going prepared. So I'd want you all to be, really doing your research, researching that alum you're talking to on LinkedIn, really doing a little research on their company and their industry. You want to go, you're asking for that meeting, so it's really important that you're going ready to kind of run that meeting a little bit and you have questions ready to ask. But as Mary said, if you remind yourself it's all about gaining like advice, tips, guidance, if you just structure questions around that alum's going to be excited to talk to you and they're going to feel like, okay, Julie came prepared and she's ready to ask their question. Robert asked, does the Weiss Summer Research Program count as the internships you were just mentioning that would count as professional experience? Absolutely, Robert. Yes, that summer research is in my book, definitely a professional experience. You were working closely with professor, you were, gaining skills, in the research space, but also just managing your time and kind of collaborating. So definitely, I think that would be something that would count as professional experience when you're looking at entry-level roles. Good.
I have a question about the HC Network page and the headline. Should we, since we're seniors, should we put just our majors, or should we put also our leadership positions, or like the leadership positions that we had? Because it seems like it's a short line, and some examples show like product marketing manager, social entrepreneur, or like tech enthusiast. And so I'm wondering, like, how can we utilize like that space for the HC network?
Yep. So with the HC network, I think it has to be a fairly short tagline, Annie, but I think you could put like senior, econ major interested in XYZ, or, something along those lines. So like really capture in like a more of a tagline, how would you describe yourself? Because then as they look at the rest of your profile, you'd see like your leadership roles and the different things you're involved
in. So would we,
go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to say, is the HC network just like a LinkedIn profile, but catered just to the alumni network?
Correct. Yeah. So the HC network is just a career advising platform for Holy Cross students and Holy Cross alumni. So when you go into the HC network, you're going to be prompted to set up a profile, and it'll walk you through where you're inputting who you are, what you're majoring in, what you're interested in, because it'll also then start to push alumni that are in the system like to you on the front page, because it says based on your interests, you should maybe talk to Julie. So it is just a career advising platform for Holy Cross students to Holy Cross alumni. Whereas LinkedIn, you're putting yourself out there like for the LinkedIn world. So I do think it's important on LinkedIn as well to really think about kind of that tagline, and then think about the summary and spend some time like writing a short paragraph that describes who you are. And it's almost a version of your elevator pitch, that if you were going to come across a recruiter or someone you were going to meet, you could like in a few sentences describe who you are, what skills you bring to the table, what you're interested in, and the kind of roles you're targeting.
Thank you.
Hi. I have a question. I was wondering how HR organization or like within enterprises, how they view interview performance versus sort of quantitative metrics such as GPA, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you very much.
So Patrick, like how they're viewing how you perform in an actual interview versus like some.
Yeah, like how would they weigh the two? Like if someone has strong sort of grades or something like that, but maybe aren't as good in an interview versus someone who doesn't have as strong of a GPA and performs really strongly in an interview.
Yeah. Go ahead, Mary.
I don't want to sound like I'm stereotyping. I'm just trying to address the question. People know their industries. So for example, my son's in photography and they're not big talkers. So as long as you can show your skills, you still can't be, I want to know that you're nice to work with if I'm going to spend 8 hours a day with you. So you got to do your best. But some people, like you can tell, I walk into a room talking, it's really terrible. And I've done it since I was born. And so I do great on an interview. But not everybody, but that's not all there is. I have to have the stuff to back it up. Especially if you said, Patrick, you're in a tech field or a data field or something, people know that those people are more introspective and what's the word? Introvert. Introvert doesn't mean shy. It means you don't need people to get your energy going. Do you know that? It doesn't mean shy. So they know that. I mean, all these people in the back rooms, my daughter was in quant for a while and no one spoke all day. She almost died because she didn't realize that that's what it was going to be like. But certain jobs don't require you to have a great interview. You just have to be sure to talk about your skills. I also want to say, since I'm here, you have no idea what a great resource, and I'm just not blowing, smoke at Julie here, but you have no idea how great this department is. I know the head of it, Amy Murphy, right? Is she still, right?
Mhm. Yep.
For years, she's so committed to your success. This department, I was talking to Julie the other day, I was helping someone discuss him, he's setting up a department. He has the same number as Holy Cross for a student body of 18,000 students. So look at how much student career placement ratio you have. It's really, we didn't even talk about how great the office is. Yes, we're talking about the alums, but the office is the one that connects you, and it's you use the resources.
Yeah.
They don't throw you out either. You can come back